Hello, in this presentation I want to tell you about Business Process Model and Notation, also known as BPMN. BPMN is a graphical modeling language that helps visualize and design business processes. It has a standardized notation that is easily understood by both technical and non-technical stakeholders, allowing them to collaborate in improving business processes. BPMN uses flow objects, connecting objects, and swim lanes to represent different elements of a process. BPMN events are used to represent things that happen during a business process. There are four types: start, intermediate, and boundary events. Start events indicate the beginning, intermediate events represent something that happens during the process, and events indicate completion, and boundary events are attached to specific activities to interrupt or trigger a new path when a certain condition occurs. BPMN activities represent the work performed in a business process. There are three types: tasks, sub-processes, and call activities. Tasks are used for user or service, sub-processes a smaller process within a larger process, and call activities are used to invoke another process. BPMN gateways control process flow based on condition. There are four types: exclusive gateways, one path based on a condition; inclusive gateways, multiple paths based on condition; parallel gateways, multiple paths that occur simultaneously; and event-based gateways based on specific events. Here you can see a parallel gateway that depends on other conditions. And for example, here is parallel event-based gateway. In comparison to previous, it is based on events but not conditions. BPMN artifacts provide additional information and context to a business process diagram. There are four types: data objects representing information used or produced, groups used to group activities or objects, annotations provide explanatory information, and text annotations, similar to annotations but with less detail. Connectors are used in BPMN to show relationships and connections between elements in a process diagram. Here you can see type of connectors, sequence flow, message flow, and association. So each connector is used for a particular purpose. BPMN pools represent separate entities or organizations in a business process. They are containers for participants and can have their own set of processes or lanes to represent different roles or departments within the organization. BPMN lanes are used to represent different roles or departments within an organization in a pool. They divide a pool and represent a sub-process associated with a specific participant. Here you can see a complex example with JWT authorization with two pools, client and server. Client requires authorization and input data and send data via POST request to server. Server receives request and process data with REST API and send request to database. Then database responds to our REST API and REST API check credentials. If credentials are not identical, the response would be 400 unauthorized. In another case, the response would be 200 and the token would be provided to the client via HTTP response. And based on this response, client via exclusive gateway can either authorize using the JW token and access the website, or evaluate another option and whether credentials are correct. So here is our BPMN diagram that I already presented to you. And let's also create another BPMN diagram showing the case when client or patient is booking an appointment in clinic with a doctor. So here you can see our final diagram with two pools, client and program area. When client enters clinic's website, it contacts program area and sends request to administrator. Administrator in its turn check doctor's schedule, and the request is being sent to doctor, and the latter can approve booking and update schedule or not approve when there is no available time slot. The response is being sent to client with a meeting status, and client on this status has a gateway with two options. These options are exclusive, so client can either add meeting to schedule or evaluate other options. If meeting is added to schedule, client can plan to visit doctor. In other way, client can have new appointment with a doctor. So these options are exclusive. So that was my presentation of BPMN diagrams with this example. You can also practice it, and thank you for your attention.